Week 1. It's not that far away. And most Niner analysts and fans, people have the Niners winning that game. I think they're 5.5-point favorites. They should win that game. But it's an interesting matchup. The Jets have a legit top 3-5 defense. I mean, it's stacked at all three levels. They can play man coverage. They can do simulated pressure. They can do whatever. And they have a Hall of Fame quarterback who may or may not still be great. And they have a really, really good wide running back. And they have 3 good wide receivers. Their offensive line is a question mark, just like the Niners. What are you guys expecting to see in that matchup? And how likely is it that the Niners lose it?
Man, I think it's very likely that the Niners lose this game. Feeling teams out. See, this is, and the reason why is I really don't think that. Obviously, there's the talent element of the game, right? Where who's better, who's worse, what defense is better, and all that other stuff. But we don't start fast. Like, it was just last year that the biggest thing that we were talking about was everybody being able to start week 1 healthy, being able to understand that we can't let any game slip away, and that we need to be able to play against teams early because we need to be able to be fighting for the number 1 seed. That's kind of like our track of how we've been going through things. And also, one thing that we need to see is it's possible that we lose this game, but what really is going to tip the scales for me is, how do we have a camp? We have light camps. And now with our core being a little bit older, I'm wondering if we really have a strenuous camp where these guys are really amped up to play week 1. How do we look throughout preseason? So we're playing against a younger team. We are now one of the oldest teams in the league. That's a fact, all right, especially by the core. And we're playing a team where they've got a lot to prove. I kind of stepped on all of like the teased points. Grant smacked me down. I admit, yes, early on. No, but what I'm saying is that that's facts though. Like all of the optics play, they have every reason in the world to be a spoiler, right? They have every reason in the world for Robert Saleh not to get sunned in here, coming back as like, Robert, it's been good what you've been doing over there in New York, and you've been snatching our players, and you've been copying our offense, and you stood in the way of Aaron Rodgers, and all of that is good, but we'll see you next year for the interview of our defensive coordinator job. So they know the narrative of how we look at them, and I feel as though that, like I said, the real matchup for me is going to be this defense against our offense. I want to see, because I do believe that the reason why we're having this discussion is because throughout Robert Saleh's entire tenure, it's been the defense that's been stellar. So
go ahead.
I just want to say, every time the Niners face a defense like the one the Jets have, they scored 19 points. Every time. You know what defense gave up the fewest yards per play last year in the league? The Jets, 4.6. Okay, go ahead.
And well, that was with a quarterback that couldn't keep the defense off the field, right? They were constantly with their backs against the wall. I mean, you can go look at it, and sure, you'll look at like Miami put up a bunch of points against them, but if you really watch the flow of that game, that was a Zach Wilson problem. That wasn't a Jets defense problem. The thing that's interesting about the Jets is if you go player by player, they have tons of name recognition. I just don't know if I'm buying their brand. They're kind of throwing together this hodgepodge of players that, again, are really big names and can be really good, but also I don't know if they're going to make it through the year healthy. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is or is not coming off the injury. Saleh's fighting for his career as a head coach and staying there with the Jets. There's a lot on the line for this team. So that team has a lot to play for. I just don't know if week 1, as long as the 49ers are dialed in, they know exactly what to expect from a season, how to win when it matters most and a game gets close. I would expect that the 49ers win that game, but can they be beat? Absolutely. And what I will say is Robert Saleh does have an advantage from the standpoint that, yes, he knows the Shanahan offense, but he's been facing McDaniel twice a year. And if you're talking about a new install with this cheap motion or whatever you want to call it, he saw it with Miami last year. He's a year ahead of the curve. So it's not like the 49ers are going to come out and he's going to go, oh my gosh, how am I going to stop it? Oh, we'll just do what we did against Miami, who has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who are much better than the players that you can throw into a cheap motion out here, we're going to be good. So I do find that aspect very interesting. I'm not saying it's a for sure win. I just don't know if I'm personally buying the Jets brand. I think a good season for them. They finished at 10 wins. I think most people are looking at that roster and saying, oh, that's a playoff team. I don't know if that's necessarily the case with them.
The Jets are kind of a conundrum. Do you remember what they did to the Texans last year off top?
I don't.
They beat the Texans 30-6.
Okay.
What they did to CJ Stroud in that game, this was like midway through the season, maybe almost, this is November.
That was his 3-pick game, I assume.
No, he was 10 for 23 for 91 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 4 sacks, got hurt, left the game. Davis Mills came in. They just beat the crap out of him. It's a really good defense. And I know
Hassan Reddick now too
than that team, but yeah, they have Hassan Reddick now too. That's true.
Yeah,
and Javon Kinlaw, watch out. Had to say it.
You talking time?
Solomon Thomas too.
Always been his biggest supporter. Watch out. No, but for real, like they're going to be able to put Quinnen Williams and Hassan Reddick right on the right side of the Niners offensive line. Like they're not playing around. They know what it takes. They have corners who can play press man coverage across the board. It's going to be a hell of a game, and it might be low scoring. And to me, what this comes down to is offensive coordinator Aaron Rodgers. Are you going to run the ball? Because if you do, you just might win. If you don't, you just might get hurt, man. I don't know. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? Because I don't think Nathaniel Hackett has that much of a say over there. I wonder.
No, Breece Hall's a very good running back. And then they drafted another one. So, I mean, I think they'll be able to run the ball if that's what they decide they want to do. Sauce Gardner versus Ayuk is an interesting matchup. Sauce Gardner is a young up-and-comer. He's going to be in the hip pocket of Ayuk all day long. You know, what does it look like for Brandon Ayuk? Can he break free of press? So that's going to be an interesting play coming off the Super Bowl where the 49ers struggled with press man. Well, you know what you're going to get from Sauce in those corners. So have you figured out in one offseason how to beat it and keep the rhythm and timing of this offense going? I don't know. We'll find that out early week 1. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Like I said, this defense is game ready. And our offense trying to transition into more of a pass trajectory, getting past the run game. It's going to be good to see. I think it's probably going to try to start out as a shootout, and then it's going to get shut down very quickly.
People also forget that the Jets, that week 1 game where Aaron Rodgers went down last year. Do you remember what that game was? Like who they played and what happened?
It was close.
They beat Buffalo
with Zach Wilson. So like they have some incredible wins on their season from last year. Also some bad losses, which is understandable. Which is why this team is so interesting. Like so much pressure on Robert Saleh, so much pressure on Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
They got to win this game. Like this is such a statement game for them. This game means more to them than it means to the Niners. So the Niners better be freaking ready at home on their Monday night season opener.